Welcome back to the crypto channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is still flashing this major bull market signal here on the larger time frames, as the price of Bitcoin is still holding above this critical line on the price chart and actually bouncing from that line, while in the short term, we are getting very close to a potential breakout above this resistance, as the price is moving closer towards liquidity to the upside, getting closer towards a potential short squeeze, while Ethereum is still playing out this short-term bullish divergence, while Solana is still struggling around this resistance here in the short term. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin chart, and right now we're still seeing a major breakout in the weekly Bitcoin RSI above this massive descending line of resistance in the weekly Bitcoin RSI. And the last couple of times this has happened in this indicator on this time frame, we've seen a major bull run follow over the next 1 year approximately. So just keep that in mind. Despite what happens on the smaller time frames in the short term, here on the larger time frames, things are looking very bullish, at least based on this signal and also this signal here on the 2-day Bitcoin chart, which I've already been talking about over and over again here on the channel. Here on the 2-day Bitcoin chart, once again, we're still holding above this critical line on the price chart, which was significant previous resistance and is now acting as new support, and that is sitting at just above $65,000. So considering the fact that we've actually broken out above that level and then flipped previous resistance into new support, this is bullish price structure. And so once again, despite what happens on smaller time frames, from time to time we can see the occasional short-term pullback during a larger bullish move. But despite those short-term pullbacks, the larger trend and momentum on the larger time frames is still looking more bullish than bearish, at least as of right now. And if we're taking a look at the daily Bitcoin chart, right now we're still holding above this area on the price chart, which is sitting in between around 66.7k to 68.3k. So that's actually acting as a bit of short-term support as of right now. And the next major area of resistance to watch out for is, first of all, we do have a level at around $69.5 to close to $70,000 based on previous resistance, and another decent level of resistance at just underneath 72,000, and a small amount of resistance at around 73,500 based on the previous all-time high that we saw back in March. And so those are the levels to watch out for, especially around 72,000 approximately. That is a key level of resistance, but ultimately we don't really have a lot of resistance above the price before we can start entering into new all-time highs. But we still have to pay attention to those levels of resistance, because obviously the price can still struggle around key levels of resistance. But overall, we're still looking more bullish than bearish when it comes to the larger trend at play. Clearly, we're looking at higher lows and higher highs, which is bullish price structure. But if we were to see a breakback below this area right here, so breaking back below around 66.7k, in that case we could find a small amount of support at this line right here, sitting at just above 65,000, close to 65k right now. Or we could also find some support at around 64.1k to 64,500 based on this area of support. But with that being said, zooming further into the short term, looking at the 4-hour time frame, and right now, as of recording this video, the price of Bitcoin is running into this area of resistance, sitting in between around 68.7k to 69.3k, give or take, mainly based on previous resistance in the price action. So at least as of right now, there's the small possibility that we could still struggle in this area. But at the time of recording this video, it's looking like we're starting to potentially pick up some momentum as we're liquidating some short positions, which I'll talk about in just a moment. But for now, we're currently running into this area of resistance, at least as of recording this video once again. And by the time you're watching this, we might have broken out, but ultimately we need to see at least a candle close confirming above this resistance in order to confirm a breakout. And remember, we still have those other levels of resistance here on the daily time frame. And so of course, for the last few days here in the short term, things have been looking relatively neutral, as the price has basically just been chopping around sideways, as you can see, within a sideways price range. But on the larger time frames, this entire time we've remained within the larger bullish price structure for as long as we're holding above this line right here. And if we're zooming further into the short term, looking at the 3-hour Bitcoin chart, it is worth pointing out that right now, the 3-hour Bitcoin RSI is starting to enter into overbought territories. So just keep that in mind. It's possible that at some point in the next few days, not necessarily right now, but at some point in maybe a couple of days from now, we could start to see another bit of a short-term cool off. So a slowdown from all of this bullish price action here. But right now, we're potentially starting to see the early signs of another short squeeze. But first, just before talking about that, if you want to trade these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, personally, I take most of my trades over on Bybit. So I'll make sure to leave a link to Bybit down below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link down below this video to make your Bybit account and deposit on that account, then you can get up to a $30,000 deposit bonus, but only if you use that link down below this video. And also, if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here, which is a massive 500 USDT position airdrop. So basically a free $500 trade as your first trade over on Bybit, but that's only if you use that link below this video to make your Bybit account and deposit on that account, and then simply claim the airdrop using that link. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, first link down below this video. But for whatever reason, if you cannot access Bybit or if you cannot KYC on Bybit, there's also Bitfinex, which is another crypto exchange similar to Bybit, but you don't need KYC for Bitfinex, which means if you're in the US or the UK, for example, or another country where you might not be able to access Bybit, you can access Bitfinex. So I'll also leave a link to Bitfinex below this video. And if you use that link to make your Bitfinex account, you can get up to a 5.5k deposit bonus. And only if you use that link, you can get an exclusive 10% discount on all trading fees on the Bitfinex exchange forever. But that's only if you use that link to make your Bitfinex account and deposit on that account. So there's another option out there other than Bybit. Once again, an exchange that you can access from the US and other countries like that. There's Bitfinex, links down below if you want to claim those extra bonuses. But with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, and right now the Bitcoin price just over the last few hours, over the last day approximately, we've started to see some early signs of a short squeeze as the price is starting to liquidate a small amount of positions right here that were sitting in between around 69,000 approximately, around 68.9k, going up towards around 69.2k, so close to 69k. We did have a decent amount of liquidity in that price range, but we have a lot more liquidity to the upside, starting at around 69.6k and going up towards around close to $70,000. So basically in the high 69k range up towards $70,000, there's a lot of liquidity in that price range, which means if the price of Bitcoin crosses above that range, once we start entering into that range just underneath $70,000, that will liquidate a bunch of short positions. And when short positions get liquidated, that adds more buying pressure, because when shorts close or get liquidated, they have to buy back into the underlying asset, in this case buying back into Bitcoin, which is also known as a short squeeze, because when shorts get liquidated, that pushes the price upwards, liquidating more shorts, and the cycle continues in a short squeeze. And so once again, we're seeing the early signs of a short squeeze right now, but in order for this to really continue, we need to see a breakout above around $70,000. So breaking out above pretty much these highs right here that we're sitting just underneath $70,000. If we break out above that level, then we're looking very bullish, not just for the larger price structure, but also in terms of another short-term pump here, looking towards those all-time high territories as the next price target, if we could see a breakout above around $70,000. And so for now, we're just waiting to potentially confirm that signal right there, but ultimately we're looking more bullish than bearish, especially on the larger time frames. And if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the larger time frames, on the 3-day time frame, we're actually looking relatively neutral as of right now, basically within a massive choppy sideways price range in between this area of support and this area of resistance. First of all, this area of support is sitting in between around 2150 to 2.2k, and this massive level of resistance is sitting at close to 2.8k. And if we're taking a look at the 12-hour time frame, we're still holding above this ascending line of support, which is some good news here in the short term, and that's sitting at around 2440. And we also have this area of support right here based on previous support and resistance, and that's sitting in between around 2440 to 2475. So as of right now, that's the support to pay attention to, at least in the short term. And as for resistance, we're just now struggling around this area of resistance again here in the short term, and that's sitting in between around 2550 to 2580. So that is the resistance to watch out for here in the short term. But if we see a breakout above around 25.80 with candle closes above that level. In that case, the next major area of resistance is a significant area of resistance starting at around 2.7k and going up towards around 2.8k, acting as very strong resistance as we've seen over the last few weeks and even over the last few months. But if we're zooming further into the short term right here, we can see a bullish divergence is still technically playing out here on the 4-hour time frame. And obviously I mentioned here on the channel all the way back down here that it's extremely likely that we're going to see just a slight bullish relief over the next few days or so. And since then, that's exactly what we've seen as expected, a slight bullish relief, which is one of the most common outcomes from a bullish divergence. We usually see either a slight bullish relief just like this, or maybe just some choppy sideways price action, essentially a break or relief from all of this bearish price action here. And this will likely continue for at least the next day, maybe for another few days, but at least the next day, this will likely continue as we are still seeing this actively playing out. And as of right now, we have not confirmed any invalidation signals to invalidate the bullish divergence. So for now, that is still currently playing out here in the short term. But of course, we still have a lot of resistance above the current price, so we cannot flip overly bullish again on Ethereum as of right now, but we are playing out just a small bullish divergence here in the short term. And if we're taking a look at Solana on the daily time frame, right now Solana is once again starting to break out above this area in between 170 to 175, but obviously we still have very strong resistance above the price based on previous resistance right here, sitting in between around 183 to 187. But if we see a break back below around 170, in that case we also have significant support right here based on previous significant resistance now acting as new support, and that's sitting in between around 159 to 163. So for now, that is the significant support to pay attention to, and once again we still have a lot of resistance above the price. But overall, when we're talking about the larger price structure and the larger momentum on these slightly larger time frames here, at least for now, we're looking more bullish than bearish, because if we're simply looking at the price structure, we're seeing higher lows and higher highs, which is bullish price structure. Also, we've been breaking out above key levels of resistance and flipping those resistance levels into new support, like this one for example, and we haven't really broken back below those areas as of right now, which means for now we're still looking more bullish than bearish. And of course, if we're taking a look at this daily Solana chart, we still have an active inverse head and shoulders pattern with a bullish price target actively playing out right now, and this bullish price target is still sitting at just above $200. But keep in mind, between now and that price target, we still have resistance along the way where the price could likely struggle at. So of course, we're still looking more bullish than bearish. Just don't expect the price to go in a straight line towards that price target. We can still struggle around key resistance. And if we're zooming further into the short term, looking at the 2-hour time frame, we can see over the last 1 day or so, the price of Solana has been struggling around this key area of resistance, which I mentioned in my last video, and that's sitting in between around 177 to 179 approximately, mainly based on previous resistance right here. And so far we've seen another 2 small rejections from this area. So for now, just in the short term, that is the resistance to pay attention to. So technically speaking, we're still within a bit of a sideways price range at the moment, basically chopping around sideways. Not a lot of momentum in the immediate short term here when we're zooming in to these smaller time frames. But remember, at least for now, this is currently occurring within a larger bullish movement here on the slightly larger time frames when we're zooming out. And also, there's a good chance that if Bitcoin actually breaks out here and plays out a bit of a short squeeze, there's a good chance that that could also result in a breakout for Solana as well. So for Solana and other altcoins, I'll be paying attention to what Bitcoin is doing, because usually, not always, but usually, if Bitcoin plays out something, the rest of the altcoin market usually does something similar. Obviously, there's always outliers, but oftentimes crypto follows what Bitcoin is doing. And of course, we're still technically cooling off from this overbought signal here on the daily Solana chart. So for now, seeing a lot of this choppy sideways price action here in the short term is also helping to reset the RSI on the daily time frame, which is some good news that is healthy to see during this bullish trend right here, because resetting the RSI out of those overbought territories can give us more room to the upside later on to create a more sustainable bullish trend. So that is the current situation right now. We're just losing a little bit of bullish momentum in the immediate short term, term, but overall on the larger time frames, the trend is currently bullish. And once again, if you want to trade these moves in the price of any crypto, check out those links down below this video to claim those extra bonuses. And if you want to actually know how to trade crypto, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.